Okay, it's been a whirlwind, really. I would call this 20 days of 4th and 1. I'm living in a university house a couple blocks from town. I have not seen town during the daylight yet. I leave in the dark. I get home in the dark. It's been a lot of 4:30, 5 a.m. Mornings till 10:30, 11:30 at night. Was even in the office 12:30 one night. Haven't done that since 1986. So, but it was crunch time. It had to be done. Caught flack from my wife for working too late. Made her kind of understand the importance of this time period, which I think is hugely important time period for determining what kind of team we have in the fall. Because you got players in the portal, you got to get some of those guys back, and then you got to bring players in from the portal. And that was the priority because of the timing of when you were hired. So pretty good that a 60-year-old guy can still go at it like that. Although I do think I fell asleep for a half second this morning on the way to work, hit a curb and blew a tire. So my car dealer not going to be real happy with me. I think we got a lot done. We started building some momentum about 7-8 days ago, and that momentum has continued to build. And I'm never pleased, but want to compliment the staff, everybody involved in the recruiting process inside the building at the university for their efforts. But this roster is going to look a lot different in January when the players come back. We signed 31 players. We're going to announce all but 7. 7 are playing in bowl games. They're all transfers. We'll announce them after their bowl game. But we got, I think, the right guys off the bus, right guys on the bus, adding to the bus, and it's going to change the complexion of this football team.
All right, we'll start with Matt and then go to Zach. Why don't you guys please state your name and affiliation?
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Good.
Matt Weaver with 247 Sports. Wanted to ask you, you mentioned portal guys. You brought in Curtis Rourke from Ohio. You're a quarterback guy. What when you watched him, when you evaluated him, what stood out about him as a quarterback, and why did you feel comfortable bringing him in to possibly be your starter next year?
Yeah, well, he'll compete for it, but he's got a body of work, and that's what I look for in a portal. I look for guys that have a body of work, guys that have started, played the entire season without getting injured, and have production. And multiple years of production is even better, because I firmly believe this. Like, there are some intangible qualities that it takes to be a starter and make it through a season. You got to be able to handle adversity, success, have consistency in performance. There's just some characteristics and traits. So I'd much rather have a guy that's put it on the field and has statistical numbers than a guy that's maybe second or third team at the number 1 team in the country and has great potential, but he was sitting behind 2 really good guys. I don't buy that. Good players find a way to get on the field. All right. Rourke was player of the year in the league. He knows how to play quarterback. It's very evident to me. Tom Brady knew how to play quarterback. Phillip Rivers, who I coached, knew how to play quarterback. And knowing how to play quarterback, it is a lot more than just having an arm and accuracy and making a few outstanding plays. A lot of their greatest plays go unnoticed. Guy gets in a jam on 1st and 10. He gets you back to 2nd and 10. He doesn't take a sack, doesn't fumble, doesn't throw an interception. But you're looking at a guy that's thrown almost 1,000 passes. He's completed 67%. Has like 55 career touchdown passes, about 13 interceptions, about 8,000 yards, right? Won 10 games and 9 games the last 2 years. He's 6'5", 231 pounds. And his brother was a quarterback before him, and he's in the league with the Jags. It really came down to him declaring for the NFL draft or coming here. And, right now, quarterbacks are attracted to us because when you take 4 different guys in 5 years, and they're all player of the year in the conference, and they all have different styles, they recognize you do a great job at developing quarterbacks. And that's a credit to Tino Sinceri, our quarterback coach, and Mike Shanahan, the offensive coordinator, and, I'm involved in that a little bit too.
Zach and Mike.
Coach, Zach Oster in Indianapolis. Minneapolis Star. I guess a similar question, but you guys took some receivers, obviously, with some really good career numbers, a lot of snaps, a lot of yards, a lot of catches. I guess between them and getting Donovan McCulley back in the fold, just how much was, maybe again, speaking to that idea of sort of proven production, not just potential, but guys that have kind of put it on the field, put it on tape, how important was that in this short space of time for you?
Well, again, that's what I look for at all positions. So, I mean, I'm not trying to be tough to deal with, but I'm going to give you the same answer at every position. Those guys did it on the field over a number of years. There was a period of time it looked like we have to rebuild our entire receiving corps because McCauley was in the portal. A couple other guys had gone in. We had very low production returning. So we're dealing with a number of guys. Spent a lot of time looking at a lot of different guys. Those three guys really, I think, are our kind of guys. I was extremely excited when Donovan came back. We got the quarterback commitment. About 2 hours later, Donovan called me. That was a great day. I truly was not expecting that because the word on the street was Florida State. But I think I think a lot of the guys that went in the portal, a lot of them have reached out wanting to come back. I haven't taken them all back. I think they all feel the excitement, and they all believe what's going to happen here. And I think Donovan saw that, and being close to home too, and having a brother here, and the receiver development that we've put in the record books speak for itself. I mean, we've had 2 1,000-yard receivers 2 of the last 3 years, and we free guys up in the pass game. We're cutting edge offensively. And we're going to find ways to free him up. But he can make contested catches too. So we can take his game to another level. I know what he wants. But he's a team guy. And so I think it's a great marriage.
Mike and Sammy?
Yeah, Mike Neislick, the Herald Times. Curt, was 3 always the number for quarterbacks that you wanted to bring in, or did that kind of develop as you kind of recruited guys? What was kind of your I don't know, did you have a magic number going in that 3 was always what you wanted?
Nah, no number. I was looking for a guy who could come in and be the guy, compete to be the guy. Tavon Jackson has started games. I was excited to see how far Tino Sinceri could take him. All these quarterbacks, really, with the same guy tutoring them from day one till the end of the season, which they didn't have last year, right? And in our offense, which last year's offense was pretty fundamental and basic, fairly simple. I think ours will probably have a lot more pass concept volume and other things, which I think will put the defense in conflict more. Now we got to execute it. But definitely the emphasis was finding the quarterback. And, we thought he was a great candidate. Now he's got to come in and earn it because, Tyler Cherry's a great candidate. And guess what? He's going to be here for spring ball. And, I've had 2 freshmen here in my coaching career that were here for spring ball that were the quarterback in the fall. And they were newcomer of the year, and we had great seasons both years. But we also did not have another quarterback with the body of work that Curtis Rourke has. And Curtis Rourke knows how to play quarterback. And while he's got to do it, between the white lines at Indiana, I fully expect him to do it. I think he's going to be a great player for us. But, everything's earned, not given. Nobody's, promised anything. I do have guys, am I going to be able to do this, do that? Once in a while, a guy wants you to promise. What are you, nuts? I'm going to promise you something, so that goes around the locker room. Nobody has anything. Everything's earned. So that's how we run our program.
You mentioned Tyler enrolling early. Do you know how many of your high school recruits are going to be able to enroll early yet?
6.
6. Thank you.
Sammy and Mason?
Excuse me. And Coach Sammy Jacobs from Hoosier Huddle. What was the process like to reevaluate, re-recruit both the commits who were committed to the previous staff and then the players who went into the portal and are looking to come back?
You know what I always do when I take this is my fourth head coaching job, and the first two were major rebuilds, and we won big year one, and I fully expect to win big this year. But the first thing I do the day before I get there is I have the previous staff rank the returning team 1 to 50. Every coach does his own rating. Somebody in the office blends the ratings together, comes up with an average. They put it on my desk. So the minute I walk in my office, that thing's sitting there, and this guy's the number 1 rated guy on the team. This guy's the number 50 rated guy on the team. So I get a good feel for the roster right there. Now, some of those guys are in the portal, some of them aren't, right? And then the next day, I interview the old staff, every one of them. I sit down 20 minutes to an hour. Okay, we talk. I respect those guys. I've been fired before as an assistant coach when I was young, right? It's part of the business. I get it. They aren't bad coaches. They're a lot of damn good coaches that were on that staff last year. Okay, but we talk about the kids. I'll make a few notes. So, I have a little bit more of a feel, not only for what they were ranked in the top 50, but is he a good teammate? Is he consistent? Does he work hard? Is he committed? Is he a pain in the ass, right? And so a lot of those guys in the portal that you don't get great reports about, it's easy nowadays. Guy goes in the portal, non-renew him. You don't have to call him in your office, have a talk with him, call his parents, explain the situation. They chose to leave the program, right? Some of the guys in the portal you're trying to retain. Okay, well, you're just recruiting them now. It's no different than recruiting a portal guy somewhere else. The difference is you're selling your vision and how it's going to change and exactly what it's going to feel like when you've been invested in the program and now begin to have this success. And a lot of them buy into it. Most of them do. But some of them are just ready for a change.
Mason and Todd.
Coach, thanks for your time. Mason Williams with thehoosier.com. I heard you mention you're selling a vision to recruits, particularly with the JMU guys, either that came to you now in Bloomington through the portal or that are following you were previous JMU commits now in Indiana. Was it more so a challenge to sell Bloomington on these guys, or is it still a lot of your staff is coming over, you're still selling them the same method that you would have sold them at JMU?
Well, look, the JMU guys that went in the portal, that's college football nowadays. Head coach gets fired, head coach leaves, kids jump in the portal. I do feel sort of bad for the program, the people that built that program, but they'll be okay. I have tremendous respect for the leadership at that place. I know I'm a villain back there right now. Everybody thinks I've tampered with their players, blah, blah, blah. Hadn't happened. I did a tweet. There was a JMU manual on my desk. I caught flack for that. I mean, I always keep the coach's manual front center of my desk. Anybody that's ever been in my office will tell you that. And every time I take a new job, I don't change the cover until July, right before we're getting ready to go to training camp. Because that manual, guess what? That ain't JMU's. That's my philosophy on how we run a program. That's what that manual is, okay? The JMU guys, it was just a matter of them coming out and seeing the place. I didn't have to sell them. They believe that they're going to win. They think like champions. They believe in the coaches. They believe in the program. They believe, they're going to step on foot and make a difference. And guess what? I believe that too. All they had to do was like the place. Now, do we have to change the way some people think? Yeah, we do. But, here's the deal. When you go through 3 poor seasons like what's happened here, you have a certain group of guys on this football team that have a chip on their shoulder. And they got something to prove. Those are the guys you want. Then you got a certain group that's succumbed to the negativity, blame others, have given up. Those are guys you don't want. We're bringing a bunch of really good football players in here that are used to being successful from all different schools, a lot of Power 5 schools, adding them to the guys that we have retained to create a new roster, which is going to, when everybody comes here in January, this is where we're going, this is how we're going to get there. Okay? And there will be a new culture, identity here, and expectation level, and the way we play the game. And we're not done recruiting yet. We've signed 31 new ones today. We have 21 mid-year transfers coming in, and I expect to add 3 to 5 more transfers before classes start.
Hey, Curt, Todd Goldman with CNHI Indiana. When it comes to that culture you were just talking about, meshing the recruits you're getting and some of the guys you kept, where does that process start? I mean, when
What do you mean?
talk to
I
them,
don't get the question.
well, when you recruit them, how do you sell your vision of your culture? I mean, what's the
Who are
first
you
thing
talking about? The high school guys, the transfers? Who?
all of the above? I mean, how do you, is there a
It's
one
pretty.
step
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
Seth and Rabby?
Seth Tao with the Daily Hoosier. Curt, this is the first time we've talked to you since your introductory press conference a few weeks ago. Just, the staff that you put together, you said, back then you said you couldn't talk about them specifically because they were like recruits. Obviously now everything's official. Just wondering if you could take us through the process of how you assembled the staff you put together here. You brought some coaches with you from JMU. You brought some people in from outside. Just how did that all come together?
It came together pretty fast. I brought a good nucleus from JMU. Part of my success has been because of the staff continuity. A guy like Brian Hayes has been with me 10 years, Mike Shanahan 9, my team's guy 6, my weight guy 5. Not always in the same position they're in today. I got guys on my staff that I hired for $6,000 10 years ago, and now they're coordinators, at the P5 level. So, they know how I am, how I run the program. They know how to manage me a little bit, some of my little moods. But you're looking to put the best staff together for Indiana. We brought some new coaches in that we're excited about. There's a lot of good coaches out there. Whoever you bring in that's new, you got to mold them a little bit into your way of doing things and how you do things. And, that's what's going on right now.
Rabby and Jack?
Hey, Coach, appreciate your time. Jeff Ravjohns. A lot of people have heard really good things about your offensive coordinator, Shanahan, and Tino Sinceri. What do you like about them, and what makes them successful running an offense, developing quarterbacks, developing receivers?
They have a good mentor. No, I think Tino's an excellent quarterback coach. I've known him a long time. Worked with his dad twice as a GA in '83 and for Saban and for 3 years. My brother coached Tino in college. Tino was the quarterback at Pitt. Mike was a receiver. So they were really close. When Mike came to me and wanted to be the coordinator, I had made a change the COVID year. My initial reaction was I always believed that the quarterback guy needed to coordinate. But I had spent that whole COVID fall, because FCS didn't play that year. We played in the spring, right? I spent that whole COVID fall studying Alabama when Sarkisian was there with Matt Jones and those receivers. That was about, 3-4 years ago. I really liked what they were doing. I was looking for some new ideas in the pass game. And Tino was Sark's right-hand man. And so I knew Tino. Mike and Tino were really close. And being able to hire Tino kind of made that work. And Mike has really progressed, as a coach and a coordinator, and calls the plays. Every once in a while I'll have a recommendation. But I kind of run the offensive meetings and steer the offense. And part of that is, every year we have our offense, and then we figure out who our players are and then how we need to branch out from there. But more than anything else, I'm a head coach. And I got to make sure that offensively, because these young guys, they like to score a lot of points, you know what I'm saying? Hear their name on ESPN and read about how they're a candidate for the Nebraska job. Part of my job is to make sure that we're not taking unnecessary chances offensively, putting the defense in a hole, or getting the quarterback hit too much, and things like that. So, because the offense, defense, special teams all have to complement one another. Now, okay, you mentioned 2 of my coaches. I got 10 great coaches, and I got the best strength and conditioning coach in America. So people like offense, so, they hear about the quarterback coach and the, offensive coordinator. but I got a great line coach. I got a great defensive coordinator. But you know what? We'll see how great we are in the fall. I guess we won a lot of games at JMU, so we're great coaches. You know, at the end of the year, we'll see how great we are. But I expect us to be really good.
Jack, and then we'll wrap with Daniel.
Jack Ankeny with SI Indiana. Coach, I'm curious, the two quarterbacks that you've signed, Cherry and Mendoza in this class, just what were some of the skills or traits that attracted you to them that made you feel like they'd be a good fit here?
Well, I think they're very similar in a lot of areas, but in the quarterback, what makes them special, the ability to process information quickly and make good decisions on the field. They're both real quick thinkers. I think it's really important a quarterback, be able to sort of extend plays. When he gets in a bind, whether it's with his legs or up and out in the pocket, eyes down the field, make a throw. Guys that can't operate outside the pocket, move their feet, forget it nowadays with all the stuff you see. Both, the one guy's got really, really great arm talent. The other guy's got really, really good arm talent. The one guy's got really, really good movement. The other guy's got good movement. They're both winners. Their teams win, and they win big. And they're both really smart. And excited about both of them. One guy will be here for spring ball. One guy won't.
Daniel, last one.
Yeah, Coach Daniel Flick, IDS. You mentioned some of the early mornings and late nights you've had so far on the job. Pretty simply, what drives you, and maybe what's the reason for your continued passion at this stage in your career?
I knew in third grade I wanted to coach. Oldest kid. Dad went with Bobby Bowden to West Virginia. I was that guy that was on the sideline in the locker room listening to Bobby talk to the team at halftime. Always wanted to have a legacy as a head coach. And, what drives me is winning, to be honest with you. But we win the right way. And, I had a legacy at JMU, could have stayed there and won a lot of games. I think I'm one of the top winningest active coaches right now in college football. I think I'm in the top 7 if I'm not mistaken. I don't plan on that changing here at Indiana. And what really drives me these last 20 days is the time period that I was hired and what needed done with the signing date coming up. The number of guys we had in the portal, the number of guys we were going to have to replace, and because, I knew that these 20 days were going to play a big, big part in our success in the fall, and that we had to get it done. And I'll tell you what, we got some momentum going, and we have a lot of people to buy in. And, look, the administration here, they want football to win. So I probably have some things that the other coaches didn't, right? And they got a guy that knows what they're doing. So it's really pretty simple.